help me write code?
I was trained to answer questions, but I'm able to learn.
That's very open-minded of you.
Thank you. I'm glad you're happy with me.
What's this guy doing?
That's a developer.
What do you think he's working on?
That's a tough question. He might be working on a new feature, a bug fix, or something else.
It's quite possible.
Yes.
Do you see my backpack?
That's a badminton racket.
It's a squash racket, but that's pretty close.
That's a badminton racket.
No, but you're not the first person to make that mistake.
AI, a technology that has been advancing at breakneck speed.
Artificial intelligence is all the rage.
Some are now raising alarms about
it. It is definitely concerning.
This is an AI arms race.
We don't know how this is all going to shake out, but it's clear something is happening.
I'm kind of restless. Trying to build AGI is the most exciting journey, in my opinion, that humans have ever embarked on. If you're really going to take that seriously, there isn't a lot of time. Life's very short. My whole life's goal is to solve artificial general intelligence. And on the way, use AI as the ultimate tool to solve all the world's most complex scientific problems. I think that's bigger than the internet. I think that's bigger than mobile. I think it's more like the advent of electricity or fire.
World leaders and artificial intelligence experts are gathering for the first ever Global AI Safety Summit. Set to look at the risks of the fast-growing technology and also...
I think this is a hugely critical moment for all humanity. It feels like we're on the cusp of some incredible things happening.
I can take you through some of the reaction in today's papers.
AGI is pretty close, I think.
There's been a huge interest in what it is capable of, where it's taking us.
This is the moment I've been living my whole life for. I've always been fascinated by the mind. So I'd set my heart on studying neuroscience because I wanted to get inspiration from the brain for AI.
I remember asking Demis, what's the end game? You know, so you're going to come here and you're going to study neuroscience and you're going to maybe get a PhD if you work hard. And he said, you know, I want to be able to solve AI. I want to be able to solve intelligence.
The human brain is the only existence proof we have, perhaps in the entire universe, that general intelligence is possible at all. And I thought someone in this building should be interested in general intelligence like I am. And then Shane's name popped up.
Our next speaker today is Shane Legg. He's from New Zealand, where he trained in math and classical ballet.
Are machines actually becoming more intelligent? Some people say yes, some people say no. It's not really clear. We know they're getting a lot faster at doing computations, but are we actually going forwards in terms of general intelligence?
We were both obsessed with AGI, artificial general intelligence. So today I'm going to be talking about different approaches to building AGI.
With my colleague, Demis Hassabis, we're looking at ways to bring in ideas from theoretical neuroscience.
I felt like we were the keepers of a secret that no one else knew. Shane and I knew no one in academia would be supportive of what we were doing. AI was almost an embarrassing word to use in academic circles, right? If you said you were working on AI, then you clearly weren't a serious scientist. So I convinced Shane the right way to do it would be to start a company.
Okay, we're going to try to do artificial general intelligence. It may not even be possible. We're not quite sure how we're going to do it, but we have some ideas of the kind of approaches. Huge amounts of money, huge amounts of risk, lots and lots of compute. And if we pull this off, it'll be the biggest thing ever, right? That is a very hard thing for a typical investor to put their money on. It's almost like buying a lottery ticket.
I'm going to be speaking about systems neuroscience and how it might be used to help us build AGI. Finding initial funding for this was very hard. We're going to solve all of intelligence. You can imagine some of the looks I got when we were pitching that around.
So I'm a VC, and I look at about 700 to 1,000 projects a year. And I fund literally 1% of those, about eight projects a year. So that means 99% of the time you're in no mode.
Wait a minute, I'm telling you this is the most important thing of all time. I'm giving you all this build-up, how it explains, connects with the brain, why the time's right now, and then you're asking me, but how are you going to make money? What's your product? It's like so prosaic a question. Have you not been listening to what I was saying?
We needed investors who aren't necessarily going to invest because they think it's the best investment decision. They're probably going to invest because they just think it's really cool.
He's the Silicon Valley version of the man behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. He had a lot to do with giving you PayPal, Facebook, YouTube, and Yelp.
If everyone says X, Peter Thiel suspects that the opposite of X is quite possibly true.
So Peter Thiel was our first big investor, but he insisted that we come to Silicon Valley because that was the only place there would be the talent and we could build that kind of company. But I was pretty adamant we should be in London because I think London's an amazing city. Plus, I knew there were really amazing people trained at Cambridge and Oxford and UCL in Silicon Valley. Everybody's founding a company every year, and then if it doesn't work, you chuck it and you start something new. That is not conducive to a long-term research challenge. So we were totally an outlier for him. All right, everyone, welcome to DeepMind. So what is our mission? We summarize it as, DeepMind's mission is to build the world's first general learning machine. So we always stress the word general and learning here, the key things.
Our mission was to build an AGI, an artificial general intelligence. And so that means that we need a system which is general. It doesn't learn to do one specific thing. That's a really key part of human intelligence. We can learn to do many, many things.
It's going to, of course, be a lot of hard work, but one of the things that will keep me up at night is to not waste this opportunity to really make a difference here and have a big impact in the world.
The first people that came and joined DeepMind already believed in the dream, but this was, I think, one of the first times they found a place full of other dreamers.
We collected this Manhattan project, if you like, together to solve AI.
In the first 2 years, we were in total stealth mode. And so we couldn't say to anyone what were we doing or where we worked. It was all quite vague.
It had no public presence at all. You couldn't look at a website. The office was at a secret location. When we would interview people in those early days, they would show up very nervously. I had at least one candidate who said, I just messaged my wife to tell her exactly where I'm going, just in case this turns out to be some kind of horrible scam and I'm going to get kidnapped.
Well, my favourite new person who's an investor is I've been working on for a year is Elon Musk. So for those of you who don't know, that's what he looks like. And he hadn't really thought much about AI till we chatted. His mission is to die on Mars or something, but not an impact. So we made some big decisions about how we were going to approach building AI. This is a reinforcement learning setup. This is the kind of setup that we think about when we say we're building, an AI agent. There's basically the agent, which is the AI, and then there's the environment that it's interacting with. We decided that games, as long as you're very disciplined about how you use them, are the perfect training ground for AI development.
We wanted to try to create one algorithm that could be trained up to play several dozen different Atari games. So just like a human, you have to use the same brain to play all the games.
You can think of it that you provide the agent with the cartridge. And you say, okay, imagine you're born into that world with that cartridge and you just get to interact with the pixels and see the score. What can you do?
So what you're going to do is take your Q function, Q learning is one of the oldest methods for reinforcement learning. And what we did was combine reinforcement learning with deep learning within one system. No one had ever combined those two things together at scale to do anything impressive. And we needed to prove out this thesis.
We tried doing Pong as the first game. It seemed like the simplest.
It hasn't been told anything about what it's controlling or what it's supposed to do. All it knows is that score is good, and it has to learn what its controls do and build everything sort of from first principles.
It wasn't really working.
I was just saying to like Shane, maybe we're just wrong. We can't even do Pong.
It was a bit nerve-wracking thinking how far we had to go if we were going to really build a generally intelligent system.
And it felt like it was time to give up and move on. And then suddenly, we got our first point. And then it was like, is this random? No, it's really getting a point now.
It was really exciting that this thing that previously couldn't even figure out how to move a paddle had suddenly been able to totally get it right.
Then it was getting a few points, and then it won its first game. And then 3 months later, no human could beat it. You hadn't told it the rules, how to get the score, nothing. And you just tell it to maximize the score, and it goes away and does it. And this is the first time anyone had done this end-to-end learning.
Okay, so we have this working in quite a general way. Now let's try another game.
So then we tried Breakout. Now, at the beginning, after 100 games, the agent is not very good. It's missing the ball most of the time, but it's starting to get the hang of the idea that the bat should go towards the ball. Now, after 300 games, it's about as good as any human can play this. We thought, well, that's pretty cool, but we left the system playing for another 200 games. And it did this amazing thing. It found the optimal strategy was to dig a tunnel around the side and put the ball around the back of the wall.
Finally, the agent is actually achieving what you thought it would achieve. That is a great feeling, right? Like, I mean, when we do research, that is the best we can hope for. We started generalizing to 50 games, and we basically created a recipe. We could just take a game that we had never seen before. We would run the algorithm on that, and the QM could train itself from scratch, achieving human level or sometimes better than human level.
We didn't build it to play any of them. We could just give it a bunch of games and it would figure it out for itself. And that, there was something quite magical in that.
Suddenly you had something that would respond and learn whatever situation it was parachuted into. And that was like a huge, huge breakthrough. It was, in many respects, the first example of any kind of thing you could call a general intelligence.
Although we were a well-funded startup, holding us back was not enough compute power. I realized that this would accelerate our timescales to AGI massively.
I used to see Demis quite frequently. We'd have lunch, and he did say to me that he had 2 companies that were involved in buying DeepMind, and he didn't know which one to go with. The issue was, would any commercial company appreciate the real importance of the research and give the research time to come to fruition and not be breathing down